Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm Gail Gruenberg, Chief Executive Organizer of Let's Get Organized, based in Westwood, New Jersey. Welcome to Organizing a Traditional Jewish Home. My colleagues Eileen Bergman, Ellen Smith, Devorah Farrell, and I have created this recording as a resource for professional organizers who help traditional Jewish clients become more organized. This is intended to be a basic introduction to what you will find when you enter a Jewish home. Each of us is a Jewish woman and a professional organizer, not rabbis trained extensively in Jewish law. For specific matters pertaining to your individual client, please contact your local rabbi. We also want to mention that any questions or curiosity you may have about Jewish culture will not spark judgment or proselytizing from your client or local rabbi. Jewish people love to teach and explain. It's against our religion to try to convert anyone to Judaism.
Thanks, Gail. Hello, everyone. I'm Eileen Bergman. My business name is Eileen Bergman, LLC, and I am based in West Orange, New Jersey. I grew up in a traditional conservative home. We started keeping kosher when I was in second grade and attended services every Shabbat. I attended Jewish sleepaway camps and was very observant during my childhood. At this time in my life, I am affiliated with a conservative synagogue in my hometown, but I am not observant. I embrace my Judaism and love my community. I'll be moderating our conversation. I'd like to start by asking you, Gail, what is a traditional Jewish home?
I'm glad you asked that, Eileen. A traditional Jewish home is one in which the family closely observes the laws of the Torah. These families are commonly known as Orthodox. They keep kosher, observe the Sabbath, called Shabbat or Shabbos, from sundown on Friday to an hour or so after sundown on Saturday, follow a lunar calendar, dress modestly, and take part in various life cycle rituals. There can be varying levels of observance among Jewish families. I personally was not raised Orthodox, but I am on a path to learn more and increase in my Torah observance. I keep a kosher home and attend Shabbat services every week. Not every Jewish family is Orthodox, but when working in their homes, a professional organizer will still encounter certain religious traditions.
Thanks, Gail. You mentioned that traditional Jewish families keep kosher. Devorah, could you tell us exactly what that means?
Sure, Eileen. Hi, I'm Devorah Farrell, owner of This Organized, based in Passaic, New Jersey. I am Orthodox, also known as Torah observant. Keeping kosher refers to which foods are permitted to be eaten, how they are to be prepared before getting to the exact recipe, and under what circumstances. Kosher does not mean that a rabbi has blessed the food. A kosher mammal must have a completely split hoof and chew its cud. Kosher fish must have fins and scales. Shellfish are bottom feeders, eating the refuse of other sea life, and thus are prohibited. The birds and other animals we are allowed to eat do not eat other animals. Any kosher animal, bird, or fish that is permitted to be eaten must be slaughtered according to Torah law and prepared accordingly in order to be kosher. Dairy foods, vegetables, eggs are all permissible foods and have Torah requirements in order to be able to be consumed. An example of kosher law is the complete separation of preparing, cooking, or eating milk with meat. A mammal produces milk as a result of giving birth. Meat is an outcome of the death of the animal. We separate life, meaning the lactating cow, from death, or the slaughter of the cow, or other kosher animal, to increase our sensitivity.
Ellen, I know you have some information you would like to share with our listeners as well.
Thanks, Eileen. Hi, I'm Ellen Smith, owner of I Declutter in Edison, New Jersey. I am also Orthodox, coming to it in my teen years and always growing and learning. The kitchen needs double the space of a non-kosher kitchen because the family has cutlery, dishware, perhaps double the amount of appliances for dairy and meat. Some homes even have drawers or cabinets for parve items, foods that is neither dairy nor meat, such as fruits and vegetables, and fish. In many kitchens, it takes great finesse to comfortably fit the necessities. An organizer may have to bring in additional storage units to make things fit and keep categories separate at the same time. Your label maker will be an asset. Even the linen closet may do double duty. In a traditional Jewish home, there is a need for dairy, meat, and parve dish towels and tablecloths. Don't despair. Most kosher families color code or choose very different patterns on the towels, pot holders, and tablecloths.
If I make a mistake in organizing the client's dishes, pots, and cutlery, does it really matter?
Yes. The reasons for the rules to which you are asked to make the kosher kitchen conform are rules that go back thousands of years. They have a religious, cultural, historical, and sociological basis. Listen very carefully to your client's desires and expectations for her or his kitchen. Ask questions and ask them again and again until you are fully comfortable with the details of the job you need to do. Then, repeat back to your client how you understand the kitchen must be organized.
If a listener has no knowledge of traditional Jewish kitchen rules, should she or he refuse the job?
No. If you listen carefully, ask questions as you go until you really understand, you can do a marvelous job organizing a traditional Jewish home.
Thank you, Ellen. Gail, you mentioned the Sabbath. Could you tell us more about that?
Of course. In the Torah, it says that God, who Jewish people refer to as Hashem, created the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day, he rested. Jewish people observe Shabbat in order to honor Hashem and the creation of the world.
Many Torah laws surround Shabbos and holiday observance. Many actions that can be considered either creative or destructive, for example, lighting a match or using the computer, are prohibited on Shabbos and on most holidays. I've heard it said that Shabbos is a reminder to us that God runs the world perfectly, even without our intervention. The weekdays in Hebrew are named according to their countdown to Shabbos. Sunday is called the first day until Shabbos, Monday, the second day until Shabbos, and so on. This has great ramifications for time organization and priorities. Some Orthodox families prepare all week for the onset of Shabbos: food shopping, laundry, creating appropriate decorations, and some begin their preparations on Friday. Just ask your client for their scheduling preferences.
You might think observing Shabbos is too restrictive. On the contrary, it is a joy to honor Hashem.
There are many Jewish holidays that occur throughout the year. Can you tell us a little bit about some of them and what items might be needed in observing them?
There are indeed many Jewish holidays. A bank or supermarket or a memorial chapel frequented by a Jewish clientele may offer a free calendar with these days designated. That will be a useful tool. Of course, you can also look online. In the fall, there are Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, also known as the High Holidays, and Sukkot, which requires eating and sometimes sleeping outside in a temporary hut. In the spring, there are Purim, Pesach, in English called Passover, which often, but not necessarily, is combined with detailed spring cleaning, and Shavuos, when it is traditional to study Torah all night and partake of dairy delicacies. In the winter, there is Hanukkah. Purim and Hanukkah involve fewer prohibitions and many traditional activities. For example, on Hanukkah, we light the menorahs in front of a window, and on Purim, we dress up in costumes and deliver food baskets. Most Jewish holidays involve dressing up in fancier clothing, abundant formal dining, often with other guests, although Yom Kippur is a day of fasting, prayer services at the synagogue, and traditions involving objects or food. Separate from the holidays that occur year to year are the life cycle celebrations. From birth through death and mourning, There are many rituals, foods, customs, and requirements. Feel free to ask your clients as needed, or for general ideas, you can look at aish.com, that's A as in apple, I, S like Sam, H like Harry.com, or Chabad.org. That's C as in Charlie, H like Harry, A, B like boy, A, D like daddy.org.
What else might we find in a traditional Jewish home?
When you walk into a traditional Jewish home, you may notice a decorative box on the doorpost. Some families have them on many of the inside doorways as well. You may notice your client may touch it lightly as they pass. It contains a small parchment scroll with one of the holiest of the Jewish prayers. What should you do as you pass it? Absolutely nothing, but now you know what it is. You may also notice that very often the living room does not include a TV. Instead, you may notice a full wall of bookcases, or some larger homes may have an entire study filled with books. Many of these books are holy and, strange to say in this hyper-technological world, greatly loved. Many traditional Jews choose to read or study these books during their downtime over watching television. While non-traditional Jews or non-Jews have begun to consider a dining room wasted space, a room that is needed basically twice a year, a formal dining room is a must here. That is because traditional Jews eat 2 Sabbath or Shabbat meals every week with the entire family together in their dining room, often with invited guests. So they need a clear dining room table ready to be set formally every Friday night and again Saturday afternoon. You may also see ceremonial objects on display in silver or pottery, such as candelabras, menorahs, or cups. Often a family has several on display. This may or may not be clutter. Sometimes they have several because each member of the family has their own menorah, or each male has a ceremonial cup to bless their wine. Feel free to question your client as to how many of an item need to be on display versus stored somewhere in the house versus purged. A traditional Jewish home over the course of a year needs many types of candles. Simple white wax candles to be lit at sundown every Friday and at sundown on some of the yearly holidays. It is not necessary to know which of the holidays, just know the concept of bringing light in with the start of the holy day. Small, brightly colored candles known as Hanukkah candles to be lit in ascending order each of the 8 evenings of Hanukkah. A simple white candle in a glass known as a Yurtzeit candle to be lit once a year on the anniversary of a close relative's death. Throughout the house, you may see several electrical timers built into the wall or attached to lamps. This is something that is needed for the Sabbath for Shabbat. If you notice a tangle of wires or frayed electrical cords, you could help the family sort out a safer way to bring light every Shabbat. In the master bedroom, you may see 2 beds. Usually there's 2 single beds, but you may see 2 double beds in larger traditional Jewish master bedrooms. It is possible to see 1 or more wig stands in this room as well. A traditional Jewish married woman keeps her hair covered. She may use a hat, scarf, or wig. She may even have multiple wigs. You can help your client by creating convenient storage space for her hats, scarves, and wig stands. She will be so thankful to get the wig stands off the dresser and the scarves stored neatly.
In most cases, an Orthodox female client will prefer to work with a female organizer. However, when dealing with her husband's belongings, the wife will usually want to find out his preferences rather than making executive decisions, just as is often the case with other families. If the husband is introduced to the professional organizer, it is customary to nod in acknowledgement rather than shaking hands. This is also the case at the end of the organizing sessions. There may be times during the appointment that an answer cannot be given to a specific question until the couple takes time to discuss it between them privately, just as is often the case with other families.
Wow, there is certainly a great deal to know about a traditional Jewish home. How should our listeners prepare for a session?
You don't necessarily have to do anything in particular to prepare, but to be respectful, it could be a good idea to check with your client first. Because Orthodox families dress modestly, if you're a woman, you may want to wear a skirt with a shirt that comes to your elbows. To some observant families, this does not matter. There is nothing specific you need to bring with you other than your regular toolkit and any organizing supplies you might need.
Do not bring your lunch inside the house unless you know ahead of time the food is kosher. Feel free to ask your client what is okay to bring.
If an Orthodox Jewish client has invited you to share your organizing expertise and you are not Orthodox identified, they will expect you to have questions about their specific needs, just like any other client. It is helpful if you're basically familiar with their lifestyle so that you can address their issues more precisely. Do not be afraid to ask whatever you feel would be helpful to know. We appreciate questions.
Thank you all so much for this valuable information. I know I learned a few new things myself. How can our listeners contact you for more information?
This is Gail. Call me at 201-364-6833 or visit my website at www.lgorganized.com.
This is Devora. Call me at 973-919-7761 or visit my website at www.thisorganized.com.
This is Ellen. Call me at 201-410-1893 and look out for my soon-to-be-released website.
And this is Eileen. Call me at 973-303-3236 or visit my website at www.eileenbergman.com.
Thank you, everybody.